Life experience is the greatest teacher. So today I want to share some of my most meaningful lessons with you. There are so many, but here are my top 5. So I'm a couple of years off 50, and these days I feel pretty happy and confident and genuinely like who I am. But it wasn't always this way. In fact, in my teens and my 20s, and if I'm being honest, my 30s, I was a people pleaser, really insecure, and had deep worthiness issues. But I am obsessed with personal development, spirituality. I've been on a wonderful healing journey, and this is the wisdom, my little nuggets that I want to share with you. And make sure you stick around to number 3 because it was a huge game changer that really transformed everything for me. Hi, I'm Maggie. Let's dive in. Number 1, don't take anything personally. We are not the center of the universe, and how people treat us has nothing to do with us. It's just a reflection on them. It's just information for you about how they feel about themselves. Even though it feels really personal, it's not personal. Of course, if you notice a pattern of people treating you a particular way that you don't like and it keeps happening, then maybe reflect and see how you're showing up in the world. But generally, what people think of us is none of our business. I've been in the trenches with this one. I really find people usually fall into one of 2 categories. They usually think everything is their fault, or they think nothing is their fault. And I'm the type of person that used to think everything was my fault. So if someone's in a bit of a mood, or they give you side eye, or there's, they've got a bit of a tone, it's like, what have I done? It's always brought back to me, oh God, what have I done? And then going through every little moment, examining it. What could it be that I've done? It really does become a type of neurosis. So yes, this lesson has been absolutely huge for me. You've probably heard that it's none of your business what people think of you, and it is so true. Because what they think is just their opinion. It's not the truth. It's not your reality. They're looking at you through their lens, through their biases, through their unique history and perspective. So caring about what other people think is truly a waste of time. For years, I really wanted everyone to like me, and this turns you into a people pleaser. It's exhausting, and it makes you behave inauthentically because not everyone's going to like you. So if you have to twist yourself in knots to make someone like you, then you're not really being who you are, and then you're being false, and then you're being manipulative. Seriously, I used to do this all the time. If I felt that someone didn't like me, I would really go out of my way to charm them, to be nice to them, to make them like me. And then we'd form these friendships that were based on a lie because it shouldn't have really been that hard. And my motives weren't pure. And ultimately, I can't think of a single one of those friendships that lasted. They might have lasted a few years, but ultimately they crumbled because I forced the friendship out of my own insecurity. And even though at times I've made them the bad guy, they've done this, they've done that, but ultimately I manipulated them into a friendship because I was not comfortable not being liked. I really found it was such a waste of energy and a waste of life force. And all of that could have been avoided if I had the courage to be disliked, which is a really good book, by the way. Or just simply not trying to control how everyone sees me and not taking things personally. Number 2, there's no failure, only feedback. You must have a growth mindset. The master has failed more times than the student has even tried. We must be willing to fall over and get it wrong if we want to be skilled at something, to be good at something and to succeed at something. I can really speak to this one. I can speak to all of them, but I'm an actor and I really stunted my growth so much by caring about what people thought of me and my performance and my ability and my talent. I cared so much that I didn't want to fail publicly or in rehearsals or in auditions or anywhere. So I couldn't be free in rehearsals. I never wanted to show anything until I'd worked it out perfectly by myself, and then I would come back and present it till it was super rehearsed, till I felt in control of what I was doing. And control is the death of art. I didn't allow myself to be creative and try things out in public. I was so self-conscious, it was crippling. So of course I was terrible at auditioning, at cold reading, and my career really wasn't what I wanted it to be. All actors know that the most important thing when you're on stage is to be 1, relaxed, and 2, present and listening to the other actors. So if you're tense and caring about what the director or the audience are thinking of you, of course you're going to do crap work. It wasn't until I really worked on my self-esteem and allowed myself to get it wrong and not make myself wrong that I started to do good acting work. Just last week I did an improv comedy sketch with some Australian comedians, and it was so fun. But there's a time that I would have been way too terrified to do that, and I would have been completely tense, and I just would not have done a good job. But I just prepared as best I could. I went in affirming that I'm worthy, and I was just really relaxed, and it went really well. and I had such a great time. And this is something that can be cultivated, because up until I turned 40, I had a fixed mindset. If I couldn't get something the first or second time I tried, I would quit. I just wouldn't do it, because I was terrified of looking stupid, and deep down I felt stupid, which isn't the truth. But seriously, embracing a growth mindset completely changed that. So it's been almost a decade that I've been doing this, and it has just had amazing flow and effects in my life. It's not that I haven't achieved it, it's I haven't achieved it yet. It's not I can't do it, it's I can't do it yet. Suddenly challenges become opportunities. When I started this channel, I knew it would take ages to get good. I'd watch Mr. Beast. He said you got to do 100 videos before you know what you're doing. I think this is video 31 or 32, so I've still got a long way to go. So I was prepared to not do good videos and to put that out publicly and know that people would be watching it and judging it. And I was just okay with it. I was absolutely okay with it, because I knew that I was in this for the long game, and I knew that I was going to work hard to get better. I also have a wonderful, wonderful teacher in my life who learnt to play the guitar in his late 40s, and he's now in his 60s, and he's a really skilled musician. So he hadn't learnt the guitar as a kid, so his neural pathways weren't all wired up, and it was difficult with the fingers and everything like that, but he worked really hard and he got there. He became a great musician, and I found that a really wonderful example. You're never too old to get good at something. You've just got to put in the time and the effort and have a growth mindset. If I had known how freeing it is to let yourself do things badly and be okay with that and just try things out, oh my gosh. Number 3, practice gratitude. And notice I said practice. It is a practice. Gratitude is a skill that you develop. It's not a feeling. It's not something you're born with. It's something to be cultivated, and therefore everyone can be gratitude. Everyone can have a gratitude practice. The reason we have to actively build this muscle is because we're wired to be negative. We just are. There's this whole thing called the negativity bias. You can look it up. I don't want to go into it today because it'll be too long. We are wired to learn negatively. We will remember the bad thing that happened to us so much more than the good thing that happened to us. That's just wired in our DNA. That's how we are. So we have to work against that to be positive. And the way to do that is with gratitude. Gratitude is transformational when you practice it consistently. The key is to be grateful not just for the good things, but for the challenges. If you can do that, your life will really transform. It's also really key to be grateful for the little things, not just big things. So literally the sun, or someone opening a door for you, or a polite conversation, or a meaningful conversation you had with someone. All these things, little things, they build your muscle much faster than just waiting for the big things like the raise from your boss or the holiday or whatever. A really wonderful thing is when you feel triggered, like someone's upset you and you're feeling, if you can be grateful that that happened because it's showing you where your wounds are. If you can practice gratitude in that way, your life will just absolutely transform. I've been practicing gratitude in that way, and when my feelings are hurt, which no one can hurt your feelings but you, but when I'm feeling wounded and I can bring gratitude to go, that's showing me there's still jealousy there, or that's showing me that I've still got, I still feel not enough there, or I'm taking that personally. It's like a map to show you where your wounds are, and then if we can heal those wounds, then freedom. I think gratitude is the ultimate act of self-love. That's why I've created the 5-day Magic of Gratitude Challenge. It's an email challenge. You sign up and you'll get an email every day from me for 5 days, diving deep on the practice of gratitude with lots of examples and inspirational bits and pieces. I hope you'll join me. Link in the description. See you there. Number 4, life happens for you and not to you. You've probably heard this. Tony Robbins says it a lot, but it is so true. This shift in perspective changes everything. When you believe that life happens for your growth instead of to you, you take back your power. I've struggled with this victim mindset my whole life. When I was growing up, a few things happened in my childhood that meant that people would look at me and feel sorry for me. And that became a source of attention. And all kids want attention. Well, I certainly did. I craved attention, but this is not the kind of attention that you want. And it really programmed me to be a victim to receive attention. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I really had to unpick that and work on that, and I've done such a great job with it. I've made great strides with it, but the more you go, there are subtler and subtler and subtler ways that we are victims. You know you're in victim mode if you're saying things like, why does this always happen to me? It's not fair. If only they would just XYZ, then I would be XYZ. That's victim speak. So if you catch yourself saying those things, alarm bells should be ringing. Another acting example, I feel to share this because this is a big one and I think people can relate to this. So in the acting industry, it's one of the most competitive industries in the world, and it's really hard to get work, especially in a country like Australia where there really isn't much work. Why can't I get in the room? It's not fair. Is it my agent? Is it the casting agent? Am I not pretty enough? Why? And then someone very dear to me said to me, the acting industry does not owe you anything. And actually, no one owes you anything, and no one's coming to save you. This was an act of love. This was the most loving thing this person could do for me because it snapped me out of it. And I realized if I want to act, then I just need to act, create my own work, go out and do it. Like, take responsibility, take charge. And I did. I wrote a one-woman show. Another friend and I, we co-wrote and co-produced and co-starred in a web series, created all this work from that shift in mindset. And then I became fulfilled. And then it didn't matter whether I was getting auditions or not. And now, when I get an audition, it's a bonus. I'm never thinking, when's my next audition? It's just a nice surprise when I get the text from my agent, because I feel creatively fulfilled, because I took responsibility for my own life and I stopped blaming everything outside of me. And you can apply that to anything in your life that you're blaming outside of yourself. No one's coming to save you. You have to take responsibility. I deep dive on the victim mentality in another video, which you're welcome to watch here. Number 5, boundaries. Boundaries. Don't leave home without them. There are all sorts of boundaries that we need to have in place. We have physical boundaries, boundaries around our time, our energy, our emotions, mental boundaries around our thoughts, values and beliefs. What I think is the most important boundary are our energetic boundaries. We need to set boundaries of unconditional love and above, only open to frequencies of unconditional love and above. And by having clear energy and these boundaries in place, we are much less buffeted when we go through the world. So we have our boundaries in place with everyone, no matter who they are, with your children, with your boss, with your loved ones. We all have boundaries of unconditional love and above. Another acting example. I did a play a few years ago and this play had been a struggle for me. It was a character that I struggled with power, and this character was really powerful. And I really struggled, and so by the end of the run, I was really happy with my work. And some friends came on the last night, and I was so happy with my performance. I really felt in it, and they'd seen my best show, and I was so happy about that. And then I went out in the foyer after, and I was just completely open. I had no boundaries. I was just wide open. I was like, oh, what did you think? And, you know, for whatever reason, they really ripped into the play. They really shredded it. And they weren't saying that I was a bad actor, but they shredded so many things about it. And it sliced me. It was like, whew, cut right through me. I really took it personally. So I violated my first rule of don't take things personally. This is many years ago. Yeah, it really hurt. But I had opened myself up. I didn't have any boundaries in place. I just naively walked out like a child who had not been wounded once in the world yet. And on that note, it's really important to have strong boundaries with ourselves. This is something that I'm really working on. Can I trust myself? Do I do the things I say I'm going to do? How do I show up for myself? Your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship because you have to live with yourself. I have to live with myself. And if you can't trust the most important person in your life or the most important relationship in your life, it's hard. That's why I love James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. It's so famous. I'm sure you know it. Half the planet has this book or is talking about this book, but he really breaks down habits into their most atomic level. I've used that process to do many things, and it really helps you build trust with yourself over time. I've recently quit caffeine, and if you want to check out all the gory details of that video, all the withdrawal symptoms, it was so harsh. I was in so much pain. If you want to watch that video, I'll put it up here. I had to have boundaries with myself around caffeine because I couldn't just have a couple. I would just have way too many. I've also recently become a really consistent daily walker through Atomic Habits, through just building it up slowly, building that trust with myself. And now I identify as a walker, and it's quite easy. Boundaries are a huge act of self-love, and especially for kids. Kids love boundaries because then they know where they stand, they know that they're safe. When we take responsibility for our own boundaries, everyone benefits. So, what's a boundary that you'd like to strengthen? Leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear. I answer all my comments. Correction, I used to answer all my comments until this video went really viral, and now I just do my very best. It could be putting your phone on silent during dinner. It could be asking for 24 hours to make a decision and not just responding straight away. These are all examples of little boundaries. And if you made it this far, mwah, thank you.